Cool. Awesome, guys. Welcome. Just getting started here. Just getting these headphones untangled. Jeez. Hope everyone has had a great week. Happy Thursday. Oh my goodness. There we go. Alrighty. Get started here probably a minute early. Awesome. Oh, wow. Awesome, guys. Just getting some audio check-offs and making sure everything's going well. Always got to double check. Never know how OBS is going to treat us today. But awesome, guys. Alrighty, we're about to get started here. Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to MTV TA. I'm your guys' host, Trent Manager. For all my new users and new patrons, welcome. All my returning patrons and all my returning viewers who've been here quite a bit, welcome back. Really glad to have you guys here on this Thursday. What do we have today? We got a good grip. We had yesterday a great day, big historic day yesterday for all those who missed. I got the Patron pulled up here for all those who missed that video. You guys can go ahead and watch that short 13-minute clip that I did, kind of just breaking down our historic day that we had yesterday for the legal tender verification by El Salvador, and we got some more following news today, following Paraguay and India has stepped into the case. Do not like to count my eggs before they hatch, but given all the issues with India and all the FUD and different integration that they have done, and going back and forth between their crypto regulations, I believe they are coming around, and we knew that that is something that they've been wanting to do, but I know the media kind of portrayed that in a different way. But I'm not going to waste any time. Let's kind of go into our agenda and see what I had today. Specifically, I know I didn't have everything on here. We got a little bit more articles and readings on our Brave browser extensions, but we had some interesting ones. I saw this Bongweed Extra crypto that we might go over. It's not a cryptocurrency, but it's working with the marijuana companies in producing a world legalization, which I thought was kind of cool. Also going into how multifamily investments will eventually migrate into the blockchain ecosystem, which I thought was extra. They got a bunch of real estate agents together, and this has been a common talk about how blockchain will definitely affect real estate supply chain, health officials and healthcare. That we've talked about that plenty of times, but we might go over that as well. Top Economist, we're also going to go. We will be going through that. We did get a lot of slander, I believe last night or this morning, from, I do not remember her name, one of our SEC chairmans, who has just, I guess, not gotten with the program, or just has been living under a rock, and just has not been, just not accepting, not picking up what we're putting down. Let's just put it that way. So. Alrighty, guys, let's jump into our first one here. So really the first article I wanted to cover just quickly, we also got some videos in here today, and we're not going to go over everything, but first off, if you haven't looked at the updated Patron, go ahead and look at that, guys. All my returning patrons, make sure you guys are staying updated with those until we figure out a new better system. I know that the Patreon system isn't the best for notifications, but just for now, that is just something we're going to do. So just make sure you, maybe like once a day, and not even once a day, once every other day, just give that a quick update. So awesome, guys. Real quick. Alrighty, guys, let's hop into our first reading. We went over to just how multifamily properties investments will eventually migrate to the blockchain. This was a quick one I liked. It was written by a guy named Mark Ventry, but his quick overview about him going through this article, which I thought was super interesting. He's part of a huge real estate agent group, and they went together, and he was surveying, and he didn't have his full understanding of blockchain technology and currency about what was going on, and he recently came out and said, hey, I don't know this. He said, for newbies like me, blockchain is a digital login which transactions are made particularly in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He came out, just overall the brief article, he didn't come out and say he knew everything. He knew he was a newbie, just came out and really just explained his best way of how this is going to shape his sector. And I think the biggest thing, especially with people who are getting involved and people who may not understand the full extent of the technology, them going out and seeing how that's going to attack their sector, I think is super duper important, and I think that's very, very mature and open-minded for someone to do. No one likes especially someone else coming from another sector, especially IT or anything along those lines, coming to someone and saying, hey, I'm sorry to say, but your job is going to become significantly less important, or we're actually going to take you out in general, because we've seen not only with self-driving cars, I know that just get off topic, but all this innovation that we've seen with development of, self-driving cars, and, how truck drivers are not really going to be a thing here in the next couple of years, and, self-driving cars, how, that's going to be stepping in another industry. There just comes a time where, you got to realize, hey, I got to adapt to my career change, and I got to figure out how I'm going to, either stick with this career change and continue to evolve with it, or just find a whole new one in general, because there is a massive shift about how things are going to be governed, especially in the world of, audits and real estate and health, the healthcare system, in terms of how a lot of these technologies are disrupting these systems in terms of, really replacing human need. And we all know that human error is the most prone error to happen if you're going to, construct an assignment or, do anything that requires human interaction to construct something together. We are the most prone to make mistakes, versus AI and other, developed contracts, such as smart contracts. And, just technologically, it's just a lot more likely those are not going to fail. But overall, the reason I brought this up is kind of just to give that, that poke around and kind of see different people's perspective. I always like to see not only just people who disagree with me, but people who also agree with me, kind of seeing their standpoint, because that strengthens my argument. And it's also just really good to see both sides of the coin. I don't come on here and give you guys all good news. We have very not good news sometimes, and also we're very in the middle sometimes. Sometimes there's just as much uncertainty as there is certainty news, so you're kind of right in that middle ground. So just kind of wanted to really bump that out there and say that this is something that we are going in the direction of. And another one we like to go over here is top economist calls Bitcoin as a legal tender stupid. So we had a lot of backlash in terms of how El Salvador governed their legal tender operation, and just putting that into perspective for me, I thought it was beyond impressive the amount of time it took for their transition, and also the collective group effort. Looking here in the U.S., I live in the U.S., so for all I know I got a couple of you guys in Europe and other places around the world, but here in the United States, and you may know this, we are very, very far behind, and we talk about this often, and for some reason, it's very hard for me to understand, someone who works in IT here in the U.S., we're so good at a lot of other things, and when it seems something that is going to inevitably change the way we govern these things here, it drives fear. But that's understandable. But and you see with other places, and I know we had this talk yesterday about our El Salvador talk, and if you didn't watch that, please go watch it, because a little bit more of ethos I took on that side is that here we don't deal with a lot of the third world countries or the overall structure of first world. Like here, we don't have to worry about not having a bank account, or the grocery stores being closed because the currency isn't backed enough, or we have nothing to barter and trade with. Like there are things we just miss out on of being in a more blessed country. And here in the United States and Europe and a lot of these other places where those worries are not there, we kind of completely neglect a lot of those South American countries and other places around the world that do not have the luxury that we have. So I can see, I guess, why we are taking a slower approach, but at the same time, it makes me scratch my head. We are, especially I want everyone to have, that financial equality. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, is living in a country where, we've been so good at staying on top of things, especially, staying dominant with world reserve currency and other things. It just shocks me that this is something that's very hesitant for us, when it is proven time and time again that this is not going away. This technology is disruptive. It's going to carry things to the next level, and this is something we need in moving us to that next civilization step from a type 0 to a type 1. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but that's kind of an off-topic chat that we've had. But long story short, going from a type 0 to a type 1 civilization requires one of couple checkpoints, and one checkpoint would be you need to harvest all of your Earth's energy, so 100%, so that would be 100% of us being EV related, so everything on the planet would be used to its full capacity. So in terms of that being said, that means we would not have what we call APS or a power bill here. So we are so good at recycling our energy, and we are so clean as a civilization that we no longer have to pay for power. And that is a very realization for us moving forward as we keep going in that direction. So let me get off my rant real quick and go over to the video that I had planned. Let me find her real quick. Okay, awesome. Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren has not been our friend the past 24 hours, and she has brought up a lot of narratives that have been debunked time and time again. So let's see what she has to say. This is the 7-minute clip. We're only going to watch about a minute of it because it's pretty long, but it's a whole spiel, and you can of course go watch on Twitter, but this is the short clip I wanted to play.
We've talked a lot today about the dangers that cryptocurrencies pose to our economy.
Sorry, the quality's
We
terrible.
talked about the
Twitter's awful.
rip-offs, the instability, the extent to which they're used to help criminals with cyber attacks, like the attack on Colonial Pipeline and JBS. But there's another piece too, the adverse environmental impacts of the computing activity used to mint many of these digital currencies in the first place. Bitcoin consumes more energy than entire countries, and it is projected to consume as much energy as all the data centers in the whole world this year. One Bitcoin transaction, a single purchase, sale, or transfer, uses the same amount of electricity as the typical US household uses in more than a month. So, yeah. So, Dr.
Can you say that again?
Yep. A single Bitcoin transaction, that's one purchase or one sale or one transfer, uses the same amount of electricity.
Yeah, repeat it one more time, Ms. Warren.
US household uses.
Okay, I think you guys get the idea. So as you can imagine, Twitter went rampant. So we had a lot of here. Let's just go to the replies here, and you know how we. And just before you get to the replies, you know, like I don't even need to go to this because we've covered it so many times. But number one, why are we asking Grandma about new technology? Would you go to your grandma asking about the new iPhone 11 if she's got it, how to use it? That's the first check off for me. Number two, this has been debunked plenty of times. So let's go back to the Christmas rally like we like to have. So that means we should cancel Christmas because every American household that has Christmas lights in the USA is generating more power than literally 95% of the countries, and that is easily proven. And third one, household lights in your house, everyone in the US and their lights, how, you know, whether they have them on or off, you got them all on. We are debugging 3, if not 10 times the amount of power that it takes to mine, you know, proof of work system Bitcoin. And last one to top it all off, miners' incentives to have cheap power is critical, because as a miner, your biggest incentive or your biggest deal is power. So you are searching for the cheapest power. And what do you do when you need to find the cheapest power? You go to the cleanest energy route, because if you're using dirty power, that's going to be more expensive. So you're going to go to the EV sector, you're going to solar panels. You are going to do everything you can to make sure that your energy is as renewable as possible. So I always like that argument, because it's like it's like saying the earth is flat. Like, it's just something that has been proven so many times, and like you can just see the backlash that we've had. Some of my favorite cryptocurrency content creators and blockchain developers have replied to this, and they have Christmas lights, video games, lithium batteries, all bloated system, and overall the banking system in general. Yeah. So yeah, she is straight up lying, and it's just something that, you know, it feels like you can. Are we gonna run out of gas in the tank? You know, at some points I feel like you're going to run it out. And I'm not going to cover that anymore, so we're done on that. But just to have it out there, I just think it's so crazy that we're still on the exact same topic that we have been talking about for, goodness, I can't even tell you how long, guys. That's been years. Like, we've been fighting that same fight for years. Like, that has been the main narrative for, I'm not even kidding, guys, for like the past like 2 or 3, more than that, like 4 or 5 years. But recently it's been just absolutely out of control. So, just had to get that out there. That's just too funny to me. Moving on to our next topic, I kind of want to get into some DeFi news also about how Uniswap v3 began a new age of efficiency for DeFi. For those who missed or didn't see the decentralized finance tutorial that I had, let's go to my profile real quick, and you guys can just check that out. So I have that just right here. DeFi full introduction guide. I go over like how to construct passive income, you know, what DeFi is, different DeFi projects, pretty much a whole full introduction. It's 45 minutes, so and I got timestamps in there, so you can kind of skip around to what section you want if that's something you definitely wanted to do. But with that being said, going into some DeFi news with Uniswap v3, overall we know Uniswap is the biggest DEX on the on the Ethereum ecosystem, by far the most important DEX, decentralized exchange. And as Uniswap moves forward with their V3 incorporation, and we know about ZK rolls, we know about we know about things that are coming with Ethereum, EIP 1559 next month, making these scalabilities issues, you know, more contract for, you know, less involved users, so newer users, and for those who maybe used Ethereum network a couple months ago, remember those ridiculous fees and everything that was going on with the network. But there's tons of exciting news in terms of moving forward. We talk about it usually mostly every stream, but I like to just keep the update fresh because these devs are working around the clock, pretty hard, to make sure this is possible, which is pretty amazing. I think I've been lucky enough to, be involved with some community groups and, be around, this space enough and be involved enough to be able to talk to some of these core devs. They're pretty normal dudes, not too famous just yet for them to not to reply or answer your questions or anything. But luckily enough to have some few emails exchanges with some of the core ETH devs over there, whether it be, the overall overstack, full stack engineers or just the protocol guys. They're really great guys and they're working around the clock to make some of these things possible. But really getting back to it, Uniswap, I believe, is a great project. I do own a good amount of Uniswap, and it's been the most important DEX for quite a while now. And it's always great to see what they have innovation-wise moving forward. Mr. Hayden, the core developer and CEO of Uniswap, is very active in his community and is just overall really engaging with how things are going moving forward. So that's always a really great thing to see, and it always makes me happy to see that Uniswap is doing really well. But it can show some real good extensive growth about how this sector is going to be heading, especially in DeFi. Let's see, make sure we're not skipping over anything. Let's go over to, we already did that, Top Economist. Also, guys, yeah, definitely want to chime in on the U.S. inflation rate, highest it's been in 13 years. Price surge up 5%, pretty crazy. I don't know if you guys heard about the Chipotle raise, about how they, I think that's in this article. Let's try to find this real quick. I know here we go. Chipotle Grill recently raised its menu prices by roughly 4%. Across many markets to help cover the cost of wage increases, as well as commodity prices for their employees and their businesses all around the world. So 4%, that's pretty crazy. That's insane. 4% increase of your bowls are already like $11 after tax. Like, I know Chipotle is kind of expensive. I don't eat Chipotle a lot. I don't really eat out a ton. I cook a lot, but truly that is a lot. That is really a lot, guys. So we're starting to see this narrative come to play. We saw it slowly creep up, and as sad as it is, guys, it is going to get a little bit worse, a lot worse. And I don't mean to say that lightly. We have printed a lot of money. We know that. Things are raising in price. We've seen the real estate market. We've seen a lot of this unfold, and it's tough. It really is tough. So what are we gonna do? I'm a big guy for assets, things that pay you for holding them, and that are not gonna depreciate your money in value. So that includes cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, really nice innovation processes, precious metals, gold, real estate if you can. I don't have any real estate just yet. I tried this year. It's hard. It's very, very hard. I am not educated enough to really step in that sector yet, but with due time, it will come. But just thinking about other ways that you can store your dollars that are not gonna lose you a ton of money. And by no any means am I a Bitcoin maximalist, by no any means at all, but it's just so hard for me to recommend precious metals and all these other smaller assets, bonds even. I know bonds will be here forever. I still own some bonds, but it's so hard for me not to move my bonds out of the bond sector and move them into Bitcoin or Ethereum or more of these ultra sound assets, because bonds were giving us negative returns at some point. They were not holding up to what they true to be. And for those who don't know what bonds really do, that's basically like, think about the government paying you in bonds. So what they're doing is that when you buy bonds, you are buying a piece of what the government, technically this is what they say to you, this is our performance analysis to you. So however good we are doing on these bonds and the rates that we have that we're paying you out, that's kind of like our pacer test in a way. For those who don't know the pacer test, it's like a physical test. So when we see negative returns on these bonds and we're not seeing a good bond return, that is a very, very bad sign. Like, that means that basically means they're failing class. You go into math class, oh, didn't do so good on the test, Jimmy. Oh, okay, like, what'd I get? Oh, I guess you got like a 55. It's like, oh, dang. Like, like, that's not good. And that's exactly really what's going on here. I cannot, I'm definitely on the bond fence right now. But in terms of inflation rates and what's going to cover you the best, and what the only proving, I know, given the volatility, guys, I know it is volatile, but in terms of performance-wise, Bitcoin is the best performing asset that we have by a long shot. Gold does not compete. Metals do not compete. Real estate, you can throw it in there, but you can't even really put that in the same boat right now. I mean, you can actually. Real estate, of course, is a $250 trillion plus monetary system, so that's not going anywhere. But taking out everything from real estate to precious metals and bonds and other commodities and comparisons, nothing compares close. And it's tough. It really is tough. So not saying go all in on BTC. Diversification is key. I'm very key on that. I will always stay diversified, but it is very hard to look at the bond market and these inflation rates and say, oh, great, bonds are a great hold right now, or this is a great hold because these guys have failed us time and time again. So I'm gonna hop off that. I know I've been a little ranty today, but this is something we need to know. This is something we have to stay aware of because these things are not going away. Also, guys, I want to hop over to Beijing's blockchain supremacy plan to give a shot in the arm to startups. Also, and this is the way that China's going to be heading here, and it just kind of goes back to our main point that we talked in the live stream, that we talked about how the U.S. is really, really, really behind, and I recommend all you guys watch this crap. I gotta find it real quick, guys. I'm so sorry. We'll come back to this history. Let's go to this one right here. So, inside China's accelerating bid for chip supremacy. I'm gonna watch this for a third time today, and I watched it twice last night. This is such a good video. So good. Bloomberg did such a good job with this, and it goes over TSMC, so Taiwan chip manufacturers, and it goes over how reliant the world is on chip manufacturers from Taiwan. Like, I'm talking, guys, like we would not have iPhones for years if we did not purchase from TSMC, and that's for the entire world. Like, there is even Intel's production has been cut since 2012 to now. That Intel's been lacking in production, and TSMC has absolutely taken off. So I highly recommend go watch this video if you can. I'll put that in the Patreon. I'll post that because I was literally astounded. Like, I could not believe how deep that chip shortage was in terms of how things are governed, and that is a sector that if you are going to be in for some money, that is where you're going to be. So definitely wanted to put that on there just for the short mention. Let me go back to
Something that
we'll definitely get to this video in a sec after we cover this China debunk. But going over back to China, we know that they've been full steam ahead in terms of their blockchain adoption. We know that they've rolled out their digital yuan to all, not all of them, but to some of their population for testing. I think they dropped about, I want to say like a couple $1 billion worth in free money to test their digital yuan throughout their communities in China. So we all knew that they were already using their QR codes for payments, so their phones for payments. They already kind of were moving away from that cash settlement, and now it's really moving into whole digital yuan circulation. And I know we've covered them quite a bit, but in the terms of how fast they're moving with their advisory and their applications, and not only just with that TSMC chip shortage, Bloomberg talk really ties into this well, because it really goes into how when China controls these large chip manufacturers and Taiwan is occupied by Republic of China, they don't officially come out and say that, but China has said multiple times that they will go in there and take stuff if they need to, and they've already been recruiting IT Taiwan individuals, high IT skilled people in chip making to come to China, and come do these type of things. And I by no any means am trashing on China. I'm just saying the overall of how fast they're moving and what they have in store, it should be feared. Like, these guys are really top tier. Like, these guys are really making things like this happen, and if we do not step up our game, we are going to be very, very, very further behind than we already are. So I really recommend that video, watching that, because it's super great. But I just really wanted to kind of break down this short reading about how they really are moving quickly, and they are attacking a lot of sectors that we cannot even keep up with, that we haven't even started. So, and also, guys, going over to our Bitcoin ETF, quick little breakthrough with CNBC television. Let's see, I'm going to find a good starting point for us. They go over just some small cryptocurrency talk. They kind of go break down to what's next. I know we're still waiting on a Bitcoin ETF, which is absolutely still wild, but let me get this video a play.
From our perspective, one of the biggest issues is really just with each particular coin or token, is this a commodity or is it a security? That's a fundamental question that really dictates how investors can access these products. So So for us, that's something we care deeply about. To Michael's point about KYC, which is Know Your Client, and AML, which by the way is anti-money laundering, I feel like those areas have been well addressed so far. It seems like, at least for U.S. persons. So we'd be looking forward to some clarity around the security versus commodity question. And we've heard talk about perhaps some kind of a grace period for folks to figure it out. But we're definitely eager to see something come from Gensler's administration.
I want to just pivot here and ask you about the digital dollar. I mean, one of the reasons I'm not terribly enthusiastic about Bitcoin is what I want is a digital dollar. I want a way to quickly transfer money to my friend in London, not have to pay an enormous vig if possible. And it would seem a digital dollar, a tethered dollar of some sort, would deal with a lot of those issues. How do you feel about things like a digital dollar, and would that reduce the popularity of Bitcoin and other digital currencies, at least partly? I know there's the crowd out there, the libertarians and the people who are in other countries that are concerned about it, but for a guy like me, would that reduce the interest in Bitcoin?
Not at all. I actually think we take the opposite view. We're definitely seeing not only the digital dollar project underway, but also seeing a lot of other countries around the world getting into launching their own central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. I think that will not displace, or if anything, take or market share or compete with decentralized currencies like Bitcoin. And so I think it all trends towards the digitization of money, and something that investors and just your average person as well, who may not be in the investment market, can glom onto as well.
And do you think, Greg, your thoughts?
All right, I just wanted to play this short little middle clip. These guys come in here, and I bring these up because I like to see both views. I like to see that education progress in these individuals. It's good to see, like we talked about earlier, to see the opposing views. Even if you know you're right, even if you know that you were completely in the right, it's good to see the thought process. That's all, because you can learn something from everybody. I'm a big believer in that. That no matter how stupid that person may be, or how intelligent a person may be, or middle ground, it doesn't matter. You can always learn something from somebody. Everyone's got their own different skill set, their own different niche in terms of whether that be business, art. It doesn't matter. If you want to learn something from somebody, close your ears and really listen, or close your eyes and really listen to somebody. Talk and explain. Even if they're not 100% right, it can give you more in depth on their thought process. I'm a big believer in that for sure. But moving on real quick, making sure I didn't miss anything. I think this is our last article for reading. I know we covered El Salvador yesterday. Big day yesterday. So those who want to go back and watch that video from yesterday, more than welcome to. I know news is coming out quickly about where they're migrating. I know I saw this. They're operating their energy sources from local volcanoes in El Salvador, around that area, and using that for renewable energy to conduct Bitcoin mining. So I know they also they put their hand out for a lot of the Bitcoin miners to come to El Salvador, for using the volcanic erosion and power, to power a lot of these clean 95 to 100% renewable, mining farms, which I think is absolutely insane. Like, that just blows me away how fast they have been moving this into gear. I know El Salvador has less people than U.S. and other major places, but my goodness, like the hit the ground, you just hit the ground and they just went for it. So big kudos to them. That's really huge. But going back over to the where is the India? Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. Let's see, India, Beijing. Okay, here it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was on the Indian press. I'm sorry. After El Salvador, India may move to classify Bitcoin as an asset class. We know India has been on the fence. They've been back and forth. They've changed their mind a couple times, well over 10 times. But I know with this, like we talked about yesterday, about in the El Salvador video, about 13 minutes long, we talked about how El Salvador's push and their overall, first step in the water is an overall country, may drive sentiment for, other big countries and other small countries as well. We saw Paraguay not fall too far behind that. Nicaragua's right there. Panama is also right there. So there may be an explosion, around those regions that can push a narrative to bigger places and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. You're seeing it. You either get hip or get left. It's one or the other. But in terms of, how India is moving, I know India that'd be a huge step if India did come out with their massive population just shy of China. I know India China bounce back and forth for who has the most people. But in terms of them coming around and saying, hey, this has got to be an asset class. This is more than helpful for our people, more than helpful for us sustaining, liquidity in our governments in our country, possibly giving us, more outlets for liquidity and just upgrading roads, education, medical supply, anything that really benefits a country as a whole, can provide that through, blockchain technology or, just holding, Bitcoin as an asset, hard, sound, ultra money. And that's really ultimately what every country wants, is they want to be able to preserve their balance sheet in a way that is appropriate and effective for them. So really moving forward, I really hope India does become the next stepper up. That'd be great. If not, of course, they'll come around eventually one day. But I think it's great that they're keeping their mind on the prize. They're not changing their rules too often. Of course, anything could happen. Black swan events happen all the time. So, we'll keep an eye out like we always do. And, that's why I come in here and do this, because, it's good to, we don't get a lot of this news here in the U.S. It's hard. We're so sometimes secluded, even just by state, even you just being in your state, you only get your local news. You don't even know what's going on around the United States. Or, you live in Canada, you won't even know what's going around, the other half of Canada, if you live in Toronto, versus, Ogden, or I guess Ogden's not in Canada. Sorry about that. Not a big geography guy, so sorry. Yeah, most definitely, guys. I think this is something positive, and we do have a lot of good news. So let me do a quick little overview of what the bad news could be. Because it seems we have all this good news, but price action is not really reflecting that. So let's go over TradingView now that we have a couple minutes. We're only 30 minutes in right now. I want to keep this under 35 for today for you guys. But let's go over to the beat. I know we haven't been on TradingView in quite a while, so let's look at. Sorry, this white background is killing my eyes. We'll get to that. Let's see what BTC is looking like. Let's go to BitBuy. Let's just take a look. So, oh my goodness. Let's go to the 4 hour. Oh, no, just kidding. Let's go to 1 day. It's fine. Okay, we're sitting at 38. So, okay. All right. So realistically, just what I see, I'm not going to do any crazy TA. I'm just going to give just my explanation, kind of how I think we could see. I know we talked about the Wyckoff distribution, about how we may be in the accumulation phase, and we also may be in the dump phase. Me personally, what I'm feeling, how I think we're going to be going, I could see us, if we do not stay above 40, 42 for our extended amount of time, so I'd say about another week or two, we may see our breakdown to the downside. There could be the floor of 25. I do see that in the possibility of the cards. But if we do sustain above 40K and we're able to, push above here, stay above 40, maybe bounce for a little bit and ultimately make our upside, and we got to stay above 42, we could see our rally easily, do a slide, do a slight little uptrend, going into August, and then, continuing to make our way back up to where we were. I can easily, maybe not something like that. I know my drawing skills are freaking terrible, and TradingView just does not allow me to sometimes express my best creativity. But there are a couple ways we could go, guys. Long term, I don't like doing the short term game. You guys know that. But in terms of short to medium term, where I think we could be going, 25K, not out of the question. Not at all. That was our previous all-time high. It's very common for us to go back and retest our all-time high. That's just how these market cycles go, and that's how a lot of stock to flow and a lot of other different commodities do as well. It's not uncommon for you to test an all-time, a last year all-time high, or this would be our 200 week, not our 200 week EMA, but our previous all-time high 200 week moving average, because we haven't been below this in over a year. So it's not uncommon for us to test something like that. And you best believe that if you have buy orders down here, that if you're trying to do, buy down here, when this time does happen, if it does happen, that you best believe exchanges will be down. There will be no way for you to even execute any sort of trades on any exchange if you think that we're going to go anywhere near this region. So just my thoughts out there about where I think we are going, from medium to short term. That's just the way I'm feeling. But overall, still buying weekly. Dollar cost average is your best friend in the long term, by absolutely. But that's just something I wanted to really cover, because I know that Bitcoin has really not been, all this good news hasn't been reflecting the price action. So I know that's been a head scratcher. But alrighty, guys. I think that's it for me today. I don't have anything really else to cover. I covered everything that I thought was important enough for the day that should get some wheels spinning in your head, and just overall really kind of get you settled where we're at. We will be back on Tuesday. Of course, I may be having some videos throughout, the week, of course, like we usually do. I will probably be making a video this weekend about which blue chip DeFi blue chips that I do invest in and that I do enjoy, that will, I believe, be here for the long term. Of course, everything I say in here is not financial advice; it's personal opinion. Just from someone who's been here a little bit. That's literally it. I'm literally just a kid who spends too much time on the computer and works in this space. That's literally it. That's all you guys need to see me as. So, and I'm just on here expressing my opinion. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Any questions, concerns, please drop comments below. Like, subscribe, share this with friends or family. If you want to join the Patreon, I know the Patreon lowest tier is like $3 a month. You get free exclusive content from me. Exclusive Patreon videos. You get Discord. Discord community advice. From other people in my community, and you can always shoot me a DM anytime. We could always just have a chat. So, alright guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for chiming in today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Alright guys.